we'll begin the fifth part of self-assessment report preparation based on the National Board of Accreditation details. It is based on January 2013 version ENBA. The details are available in NBA website www.nbaind.org. Today we are going to cover the topic development of rubrics. Here we'll try to understand what is a rubric, why it is required, how to develop, and what is its importance in preparing self-assessment report. Rubrics, they are nothing but the set of criteria for assessing work or the performance. Rubrics are particularly suited to learning outcomes that are complex or not easily quantifiable, for which there are no clear right or wrong answers, or which are not evaluated with standardized tests or surveys. Rubrics are the scoring tools that list criteria for a piece of work or program, give a clear, concise written sets of expectations, articulate gradations of quality for each criterion, clearly show students how their work is being evaluated, communicate detailed explanations of what constitute excellence. It serves as a means for clarifying expectations for assignments and experiences. Give more feedback than just a letter grade, can be powerful motivation tools, have a tendency to promote excellence. Rubrics for NBA. The development of different rubrics and the achievement of the outcomes base needed to be clearly stated in the SAR, preferable in appendix. However, the detailed documentation for the development of rubrics must be available to the visiting team. Different documentation prescribed by NBA for PO's measurement, CO's measurement, etc. are question paper, answer scripts, various assignment statements, reports of assignments, and the percentage of student completing the assignments in an acceptable manner, and any other relevant documents. Copies of assignments as well as reports of design projects from various courses, project supervisor assessment, rubrics used for that, peer assessment, seminar, rubrics developed to assess this outcome, and the assessment scores of both the teacher and the peer for each student, problem statements of the various design projects, final year projects, laboratory experiments, and grades obtained by students on successful completion. These are all few examples. In this you are seeing the role use of rubrics at different places and all. So we need to look into the development of rubrics. Tips for effective rubric design. How to design a rubric that does its job. How to write a precise criteria and descriptor. How to make your rubrics user friendly. These are the main issues connected with rubrics. Expert agrees rubrics are hard to design. Rubrics are time consuming to design. A rubric is only as useful as it is good. Using a bad rubric is a waste of time. It's true. Bottom line is it working for you and your students? That you need to look into. Then work, then use it, then design, then apply. Simply do not follow something which you don't understand, which doesn't work for you, for your student. Here is an example. The task is to make a chocolate chip cookie that I would want to eat. Criteria: texture, taste, number of chocolate chips, richness. These are the criteria. The performance range is delicious, tasty, edible, not at edible. Now look at the small rubric that is available in the internet. You can just look into that also. See here, this is how the rubric is being presented. Now let's look into one of the color. Even golden brown, call it as a delicious. Brown with pale center, tasty. All brown or pale, edible. Burn, again not at this one, edible. So this is how you are going to classify the things, okay, grade the work. Overall score based on delicious, taste, edible, not edible, by criteria number of chips, texture, taste, richness. Did the product match expectations? Affective rubric don't exist in vacuum. Here are some examples of the rubrics that you can see. Question paper, I'd like to take you through, which is being used in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. I'll just have a look into this. While designing the rubric, we used two different aspects. One is structural dimension, other one is contents and attainments of state objectives. For each one, we are taking them through the agree, partially agree, disagree, and these three different points are different value in different criteria that is being stated here. Let's try to look into different criteria, focus on this. The structural dimension here, right? The paper setter has followed all the standards defined in the department or the institution. It is in terms of format. Question paper header information, question numbering, mark split and positioning, type of questions and options, etc. Whatever that is there. Agree, 2 points. Partial agree, not applicable at all. It is done fully, not done because it is a mandatory. Disagree is 0 points. Everyone is expected to follow the format. Structural dimensions. Second structural dimension is all questions are properly and professionally phrased with a precise and unambiguous meaning. This is related to the English language. So agree, 2 point, partially agree, there is a scope for the improvement and all, 1. But here it is not there at all. You need to follow structurally whatever that is being said. Disagree is 0. This is about the structural dimensions of rubrics used for question paper. Now let's look into the contents and attainment of stated objectives. First one, in that the paper setter has covered the entire syllabus as per the initial plan, lesson plan, with the proper emphasis on various topics as per the initial lesson plan, with varying complexity to distinguish and categorize students as a good performer, average performer, and a poor performer. Here, this is a very important thing. Agree 4, partially agree 2, because there is scope for improvement. Disagree 0. Second one is questions in QP are designed to make the students think, analyze and apply their knowledge gained through learning process they have undergone. Agree again 4, partial agree 2. We give a scope for teacher to improve their question paper, and this is 0. Now here I would like to give an example. Every question we have to make the student to think. It should not be a straightforward thing. For example, if I ask a question, what is inheritance? What is private inheritance? Explain with the example. Students very well they write it. This doesn't make them for think anything. Simply like a Xerox machine, copy whatever they have studied there in the book and write it as it is and get the marks. No. Rather, if the same question, if you little bit twist and ask, saying simple, very simple, what's the use of private inheritance? Can you give an example from real life scenario where the private inheritance is applicable? Then things are different. They need to think. And when we are asking this question, we need to ensure that our classroom sessions also goes in the same frequency. Teaching in a classroom something different, asking question in the examination different, not acceptable. This is an academic crime. We need to look into this. Third point, questions in QP emphasizes on self-learning beyond the syllabus and any other such dimensions required to prepare students industry ready. This is the most important today, people talking more about this. So there may be some assignment, some task which you make a student to do on their own and include those things here and see how they are doing it. So here, though this is the new term for majority of us, so partially if at all you are doing it, we are still giving more points here. Okay, you compare with some other things here, right? We are giving more. So full you get it when you totally understand all these things, this particular dimension, criterion of rubric and do it. Fourth one is questions in QP designed to meet the stated course learning outcome, COs, whatever that we talk, right? You must do it, right? For a beginner, for the profession to begin with that, when they are not totally understood, for them it's all right, 1 mark. Otherwise, defining high quality course outcome, teaching accordingly, that setting the question paper to meet the stated course outcome for that particular course is mandatory. We don't have any excuse in this. And for a formality, other formality's sake, right, total points scored, and somewhere we are at a matter of concern if a score is less than 14, looking at some kind of logical things, some kind of calculations are being done, some policies, whatever, okay, something here, and we have arrived at some point here saying that any score is less than 14, then it is a matter of concern, we need to look into that, there is something revision we need to look into. And we have a second sheet wherein we any additional remarks, observation there, we record it. This is the rubric that is being developed. Please understand that developing rubric by somebody individual at some corner doing doesn't work. We'll take a break now. Okay, the second thing we'll give in a second part.